Hey, what's up, you guys? My name is Wolf, and welcome back to LEGO Arts. So, in the last episode, we did a showcase on the 2003 adaptation of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And for this episode, I decided to do a quick showcase on some of the Batman villains from the movies. So, as you can see, for our villains, we have Catwoman and the Riddler from the Batman, and we have Bane, Scarecrow, and an updated version on the Joker from the Dark Knight trilogy. So, originally, this showcase was supposed to come out a while ago, but multiple things kept coming up. First off, one of the biggest things was I recently had just gotten COVID and have now finally recovered from it. And last week was really horrible. And then before that, my microphone decided to die on me. Or not completely die, where it was working, but it was super quiet to make it sound like of how I originally recorded. And overall, this kept getting pushed back. Of a simple showcase, something as this, just kept getting pushed back with like one thing after another. So finally, I managed to get a new microphone that works so much better, and I have finally recovered. And I recovered from my sickness, and I decided that now's a good time as ever to sit down, record the showcase, and finally just get this out of the way, so I'll be able to move on to the next big project. So, as you guys know, we're going to take these minifigures one at a time, to review them, explain my process, why with the results, and then go from there. So without further ado, let's get the pedestal out and get the showcase on the road.
So to get it out of the way first, let's showcase with the new updated Joker. So the full figure, I already did a full-length detailing through the Dark Knight Trilogy showcase, but the biggest update that I gave for him is this new hairpiece. And this is very accurate to the Joker's design in the Dark Knight. It's really impressive. So just getting this off of the way first, put the figure to the side. So this hairpiece again is super accurate and really well done. I love that Nate's minifigs really went into detailing for this design to capture the general likeness for the Joker, and it looks really cool. Really cool. In fact, in comparison, if we compare this to Lego's official, you can kind of see that they're very similar to one another. But of course, this one's more accurate, while this one for Lego. It's a good adaptation, but would have been cool if they had do something else. And for example, with the previous Joker hairpiece, I was satisfied with this for a long time, but when I got this one, I felt that it was very appropriate to use this one. And you can kind of see that the greens are a different shade. I tried to get them close to accuracy as much as possible, but of course that wasn't the case. And what I also like about this hairpiece is when adding it on to the figure, it fits perfectly with the coat. My biggest concern was okay, would I have to modify the coat? And I don't have to. It fits on perfectly, and it goes beautifully with the rest of the figure. So overall, this is a really fantastic piece, and really well done by Nate's Minifigs. So next up, to move on with the main showcase, of course, we have Catwoman. So I reviewed the minifigure itself already when I reviewed the Batman sets, and this basically just kept it as it was. There's not really any changes made to it. The only thing that I added in and on was this awesome Catwoman mask made by Nate's Minifigs. So when looking at the mask itself, Nate did a fantastic job of replicating the mask and then scaling it down to the size for a minifigure. And for a minifigure, you could see the detailing of the lines, and a little bit of scrunchiness wrapping, I guess I would call it, wrapping around the mask. The mask looks really well. You can even see some stitching going on, especially on the sides of the ears. Really nice. And overall, again, he did an amazing job at this. Again, it's just super fantastic. For the base painting of it, I just base painted it in black, and then I actually went back with a clear gloss coats to give it sort of that shiny effect to make it look like official Lego, and it actually turned out really good. I've rarely done gloss coating on gloss coatings, just mostly for decaling clones. So this was a sort of nice addition for that. Only problem I guess I would really have with this mask is, as you can see on the back of the mask is not fully covered up. So if you put this on a double-faced head, you can see the mouth, and same thing putting it on the other side, turn it back over, you can still see that mouth. So generally speaking, it does look a little bit weird, but at the same time, I think there's not really much that we can do on with the mask without making it look too weird. If there's too much on the bottom and not enough to match up with the round, it looks very off, a little bit more random. before. So this would definitely be something for where if you just wanted like just a solo face, for solo face this will work. But with the double face again, it's not too big of a deal, but it does look a little bit weird. Overall though, again, still a fantastic job. And it's a job of capturing the overall design from the movie and then interpreting onto Lego. Really well done. So next up on our list, we have the Scarecrow from Batman Begins. So with this figure, it did require some more work compared to the Catwoman, as the mask was pretty much the biggest change, but also I did more work on the torso than I did with the previous figure. So with the basics of the figure, it's the same figure that I reviewed from the Batman set, but with some heavy detailing, mostly added on to the torso. Before I get to that though, I want to talk about the Scarecrow mask, again made by Nate's Minifigs, and he did an amazing job at capturing the overall design for Scarecrow, because you could see how like the overall design really matches well with the movie. You could see like some of the stitching that goes around the base of the sack. This rope that wraps around like the noose and goes all the way down to the side, and you could even see if like it's big enough where like you could put it on the minifigure and you could see with the eye holes. Really, really cool, and again, really, really fantastic. It's very similar to, I don't have it, but for comparison, it does kind of remind me a little bit of Phoenix Customs' design of Scarecrow. I think it did take some inspiration of it, but it's enough to where it's all on its own, especially since the stitching is actually three-dimensional. Painting it up was a bit of a pain though. I had mixed in multiple browns to get that same coloration as in the movie. Doing the noose was easier actually, and also trying to paint on enough of the stitching that it stands out, but also to where you could kind of see a little bit of the stitching. It looks a little weird, but at the same time, I think it works, and it works pretty well. Now, onto the main figure itself. Removing this, you can see the torso is the same as before, but like I said, heavy detailing that I did on the torso. I basically just took both a nail polish remover and also an eraser, and basically just removed a majority of the front of the figure, because I wanted like the noose to match up with the figure without it looking weird. So I removed it completely, and same thing on the back. And as you can see, I gave him a brand new head. As with this head, I felt it matched much more well with with Cillian Murphy's like overall expression, because so this set I purchased from like Firestar Toys, and to give you an overall idea to add more onto it, put on this hairpiece, you could really see that it matches them more. But I purchased this head from Firestar Toys because I felt that like it matches really well, and it is double faced for like we get this normal face and get like this face without the glasses, and then we remove on the back, you can see like he's got the glasses, but you could sort of see if like one of the cheek lines is removed. Unfortunately, this came in with some kind of, I guess, like a earpiece indicator. I don't know what the head was originally supposed to be, but it came in with a piece that I carefully used an eraser to remove that, because I want to show like any sort of like scratch marks on the side of the head, and I didn't want to accidentally remove the rest of it. So I used an eraser to remove that, and I have painted on multiple times to like try and paint on that cheek line. Unfortunately, none of them have stayed on. Every time I put the mask back on, the paint chips off, unfortunately. So that's sort of the biggest downfall that I would give onto it. But other than that, again, with adding on with the hairpiece, it matches up really, really well, with Murphy's appearance in the movies. Again, it's really, really well done. And while the paintwork on the torso, could have come out a little bit much more clean, it still retains enough at the base to keep the overall design. And again, like going back with the sack, Nate just did a phenomenal job of capturing the overall design just like in the movie, and I'd say this turned out really, really cool. Alright, now getting into the full customs. First up, we have the Riddler from the Batman. Now this actually turned out really, really nice. Very nice. Much better than I was expecting. So when doing this guy, I knew immediately I wanted to paint it up, the mask, to match up with the rest of the figure. But doing the rest of the figure was actually sort of a last minute decision that I had with him, because I was originally just gonna have it be like Catwoman and Scarecrow, for like just paint up the mask and then leave the rest of the figure as it was. But I decided to expand a little bit more on to see how far I could really take it, and I'm glad I did that, because this looks so awesome. It's so awesome. I really, really like it. So the mask, again, by Nate's Minifigs, minifigs. And again, he did amazing at getting the overall design for the mask. Like you could see like the front of the detailing is phenomenal. You could even see like these small divots on the mouth. It looks really, really nice. And the way how this wraps all the way around on the head, very, very well done. Very well done. I like it so much more than Lego's official head. On the rest of the coats, you can see like some snippets of fabric where I just glued in with a raincoat. This was much more of a pain to make than I was expecting. It turns out it's easier to make open coats, because you have like an area, as you have like enough to like wrap around the figure while also leaving enough open. But at the same time, if you're doing a full closed coat, it's much harder to do, to wrap all of that fabric around and make sure that it's all even in place. And even then, you can tell by the bottom of it, it's not uneven, and it kind of makes me angry. A little bit of like OCD kicking in of that, but at the end of the day, I was able to like just accept the fact that I was able to get all this on together, because it was still a bit of a pain. And you can see like some small pieces of fabric I actually had to cut them out around the arm socket and then put them on. Again, it was a bit of a pain. For the rest of the figure, you can see like this hood piece that's super glued on here. This is the same hood piece that I had used a long time ago for my 13th Doctor. I wasn't using it anymore, so I decided to go ahead and give it to this figure, and then just paint it on sort of the same base coating that I used for my Donatello minifigure, and it actually blends in well with the original base figure. For where you can see like the arm paint has been smudged off, but the base painting of it is perfectly blending in, and it's really, really well done. I really like it. I then did a little bit of detailing on the front of the coat, with some pockets. Gets the outline of where he would button it all up, and of course the Riddler logo. In his left hand, you can see he's got like the phone, the same one that's in the review from the set. And it's actually a good thing that I pushed this showcase back a bit, because I was able to add on this little accessory, this little duct tape accessory. At first, I didn't have this, but I decided that since I was pushing it back, I might as well go ahead and try and make it. And it's not perfect. It's not perfect by any means, but it does still bring up that representation. So I at least got the overall idea of it. One takeaway that I would give it with this would be the head. You can see it's the official Riddler head. This was originally supposed to have another head completely different, but I could not find a head that matched up with Paul Dano's expression. Sorry. I couldn't find a head that matched it all up, unfortunately. So think of this as sort of a temporary. I hope to one day find that perfect head, and I'll work with it. But for now, this is going to be the overall design of it. So minus the head, I still like the figure. It was fun to make, and I'm glad I decided to do full customization instead of only part custom. And last but certainly not least for this showcase, we have Bane from The Dark Knight Rises. This one is probably my favorite as his fully customized minifigure. So first up, going on the base helmet, again made by Nate's Minifigs, and again he did an amazing job of capturing the overall design for Bane's likeness from the movie. So lowering the coat down for a second, we can see the overall designs that he captured on all the way from the front to the back. And to the back, you could see the perfect like detailing and integration all the way around this head, and really, really phenomenal. Painting it up was a little bit of a challenge, especially like on the top and the front, and finding accurate photo references to like the design of the figure was tricky as well. But I was thankfully able to find enough to get an overall idea on how to make this guy. So I'm really grateful for that. The head underneath, I just took a minifigure with like an angered expression to try and capture in with like Tom Hardy's likeness with the helmet on. And I unfortunately cannot remove this to show you guys. But in a way, that's sort of alright, because I have no plans of taking this off anyways. So either way, it works out fine. The torso on the figure is really where like the customization kicks in. I took like an army vest that I had for a minifigure, sanded off the front of it, and I think I also sanded off the back. But I sanded it down to a point where none of the detailing was showing. Then I took some Procreate clay and sculpted on the details of his vest. Then used some snippets of electric tape shape to do like the straps on the vest to get the overall idea. I also filled in some clay on the back around for the waist, to fill in for the belt loops, which actually came out pretty nice. Then painted it all up and added in the extra detailing, which came out really, really good. The base figure, I had used a Bane knockoff minifigure that I had purchased from Etsy that at first I thought I could use, but the helmet was not accurate. It was not accurate. It covered up too much of the face. The overall head I didn't really like. So I just used the figure as a base template, and kept everything else, and like removed everything else. And else, like, I kept the coat because I felt that the coat was a pretty cool, attachment for him. I tried painting the arms as accurate as possible to blend in with the rest of the coat. Didn't fully come out well. But it's not too big of a deal. And then we move this up. There is some articulation you can actually see. I can move up and down, and the paint does not chip off, which I always love that. Always love that. And yeah, overall, this one had a lot more customization put into it, and I actually had built this prior to when Nate announced that he was going to be doing a Bane mask for it. I felt and I managed to purchase one of these things with the Joker hairpiece, and felt like, you know what, let's make a full figure. So I sat down for a good couple of days and spent it working on the overall design for this character, which was really well worth it in the end. I think like the overall entirety of him looks really well done. I really like making him. He wasn't too big of a challenge, but it was definitely tedious of sanding the vest to get in enough. You have to add in all this extra detailing and to make sure that the paint like you can actually see some chippings, but to make sure that like everything else was painted up nicely and properly. But moving past those challenges, this still turned out really nice, and I really like it. And overall, that is going to do it for this episode of LEGO Arts. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, this was originally supposed to come out a little while ago, but it kept getting pushed off with equipment being not working properly, and also of when I managed to get COVID. So during that time, like I said, I have recovered now, but during that time, I had retained my senses of smell and taste, thankfully, but I just felt super weak and super tired, that it was the most tired and weak I had ever felt. So it was not really fun, and first few days were mostly just spent on the bed, on my bed, as I wasn't able to really concentrate or work on any projects, but thankfully, like I said, I've managed to recover from it. I still have a bit of a cough, but thankfully it's much better than the alternative, and I was able to finally really muster up enough energy to put together this showcase for you guys. And overall, just really glad to finally be able to show this to you guys, and be able to work on to the next few projects. Next. Speaking of which, I'm now going to go back to working on the Halo project, and I've also begun some side stuff on a Star Wars related project that, if you keep going with my Instagram, you might have seen that I've gotten on some custom parts for Darth Vader, which I'm really, really excited to beginning working on those. And I've also got a couple of new games for some Let's Plays. Won't evaluate on them yet, but I am going to be recording videos on them soon enough. But overall, that is going to be it. So, if you guys would like to see more videos like this in the future, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications. LEGO products made lots of fun. And overall, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'll see you all next time in the next video. Bye-bye!